reading the Bible. This brings us to Adam and Enosh. In the Bible, there is a Hebrew word Adam referring to Adam and his or her descendants, Adamites. But then there are also other Hebrew words to describe different races of men. From this, we can glean that we are not all the same and do not all share the same origin from Adam and Eve. So the Hebrew word Enosh, which means mortal man, sometimes can describe Adamites, usually in a derogatory manner, but sometimes non-Adamites. You must examine the context. So for example, Moses said in one of the Psalms, "Thou turnest man," that's Enosh, "to destruction, and sayest, Return ye children of Adam." So here we see that all men die, i.e. all bipeds, but Adamites specifically upon death return to Yahweh due to the immortal spirit Yahweh breathed into Adam, which was passed on. Without the distinction of Enosh and Adam in this verse, the teaching of this psalm is completely lost. In Genesis we read that this is the book of the generations of Adam. It is the story of the descendants of Adam and his descendants only, but by the end of Genesis, as we've said, it has moved on to the Israelites exclusively, although they are still Adamites, just one peculiar family of Adamites. Anyone else mentioned is generally only if the Israelites came into contact with them. The Genesis 10 table of nations is so we can understand and trace people back to Adam or realize that they are not from Adam. For example, we see later on in scripture that there are Nephilim, Rephaim, Zuzim, Kenizzites, Kadmonites, Girgashites, etc., and these races are from the fallen angels. Mixing with these was forbidden, but if they did, the result would be a bastard offspring, and that is the word Mamzer. The Hebrew word Mamzer means a non-Adamite. Generally, most translations have Mamzer as a bastard, which is fine if bastard is understood in its true meaning. However, unfortunately, churches generally teach that only they have the authority to marry couples and teach that a bastard is someone born to unmarried parents. Unmarried in the sense that a priest did not quote-unquote officially marry them in front of an altar. But this is a complete heresy and changes the definition of a bastard. Churches would also happily accept Nephilim and anyone in their congregation these days, as long as a priest married them. However, Yahweh explicitly states that a bastard, that's Mamzer, shall not enter into the congregation of Yahweh, even to his 10th generation. In other words, forever. After 10 generations, well, it's still a Mamzer, so you start again, so it's an infinite loop. Yahweh will never accept them, and that is why Cain was rejected, because he was a Mamzer. When Adam and Eve lay together, there was no priest, and the same can be said with all the patriarchs throughout the Bible. Furthermore, when Tamar seduced Judah and birthed Pharez and Zara, there was no priest. It was a one-night stand, yet in the eyes of Yahweh, that was a marriage. Judah and Tamar were now husband and wife. Christ came through the line of this marriage, and he was certainly never counted as a bastard. However, when Esau married the daughters of Heth, all of his offspring would be bastards, as he had married into the race of Cain. Thus we understand why Yahweh hated Esau, as he knew the actions he would take ahead of time, and this is the true understanding of a Mamzer and a bastard, which